The coffee has gone cold in the cup. Again, the morning arrived without asking permission, slipping through the curtains with a soft, gray light that feels more like a sigh than a sunrise. The silence in this house weighs heavier than any word, doesn't it, my sister? It's a silence you know too well, the kind that settles after everyone else has gone, after the phone stops ringing, after the memories start speaking louder than the birds outside your window. This quiet isn't empty. It's alive, a presence that lingers in the worn armchair, a shadow that trails you from room to room. It carries the ghosts of past laughter, the echo of hurried goodbyes, and the aching weight of conversations that never happened. Maybe this is your story, the story of a mother's heart that longs for a connection that once filled your days, but now feels like a distant dream. It's the grief for a relationship that's still alive, but feels so very, very dead. You wear a brave face for the world, smiling at the grocery store, nodding in church, but inside there's a chasm, a silent chasm you don't know how to cross. You feel unseen in a crowded world, unheard in a quiet room. You poured your soul into raising them, and now a distance sits where love once stood. But God sees you. He knows the silent sorrow you carry, the love that still flows from your heart, even when it has nowhere to land. That love, my sister, is a holy thing. Today, we're not just going to talk about this pain. We're going to lay it down. We're going to find a psalm, a sacred word, to heal this mother's heartbreak. Stay with me, because this reflection might mend a wound you didn't even know you carried. Share your story below. I read each one as a prayer. This is the world of a mother named Sarah. Though her story could be yours, her home, once filled with the chaos of children's laughter and hurried footsteps, now sits in a hush that feels like a stranger. The kitchen table, where she once served pancakes shaped like hearts, is now a silent witness to her solitary mornings. The walls hold memories, fingerprints smudged from little hands, crayon marks she never had the heart to scrub away. Sarah, in her late 40s, moves through her days like a ghost in her own life. Her hair, once neatly tied back, now falls in soft, graying waves, a testament to the years she's carried. She was the mother who stayed up late sewing Halloween costumes, who kissed scraped knees, who whispered bedtime prayers. But now her children are grown, scattered across cities and lives that feel a million miles away. The phone rarely rings, and when it does, the conversations are brief, polite, distant. She looks at old photos on the fridge, a gap-toothed smile, a graduation cap, and feels a pang so sharp it steals her breath. The silence in her home is not just the absence of sound, it's the absence of connection, the weight of love that has nowhere to go. Sarah sits in her rocking chair each morning, clutching a mug of coffee that grows cold, staring out the window at a world that moves on without her. Have you ever felt this kind of quiet, my sister? A quiet that holds you hostage to memories of what was. Sarah's heart aches for the days when her home was a symphony of voices. Not this hollow stillness, but something is stirring in this silence, something sacred waiting to be uncovered. Beneath the quiet of Sarah's home lies a deeper pain, a silent sorrow that gnaws at her spirit. It's not just the empty nest, it's the distance that grew between her and her children. A chasm built of misunderstandings, unspoken words, and time that slipped away. Her eldest, Emily, once her confidant, now calls only on holidays, her voice clipped, her words guarded. Her son Michael moved across the country, chasing a life that doesn't include her. Sarah replays moments in her mind, a sharp word she said in anger, a missed school event, a time she was too tired to listen. Did those moments push them away? The guilt is a heavy chain wrapping around her heart. She wonders if she failed as a mother, if her love wasn't enough. The silence in her home amplifies these thoughts, turning every creak of the floorboards into an echo of regret. At night when the world is still, Sarah lies awake, her pillow damp with tears she doesn't share. She sees Emily's childhood drawings on the wall, Michael's old baseball glove in the closet, and the memories flood back, days when love was simple, when her arms were their safe haven. Now those memories feel like a cruel reminder of what she's lost. But what Sarah doesn't know is that this silence, this pain, is not the end of her story. It's a cocoon, a sacred space where God is preparing something new. If you've ever felt the weight of a love that feels unreturned, stay with me, because Sarah's journey is about to reveal a truth that could set your heart free. The change came in an unexpected moment, as it often does. One Sunday after church, Sarah found an old quilt in the attic, one her grandmother had made decades ago. It was worn, with patches frayed and stitches loose, but it held stories, each square a piece of her family's history. As she ran her fingers over the faded fabric, a memory stirred. Her grandmother sitting in a rocking chair, mending a tear in the quilt. "A tear isn't the end, Sarah," she'd said. "It's a place for a new thread, a stronger one." Those words, buried for years, felt like a whisper from God. That evening, Sarah sat with her Bible, her heart heavy but open. She turned to Psalm 34:18. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit." The words hit her like a warm embrace, a promise that her pain was seen. She began to wonder, what if this heartbreak wasn't a failure, but a sacred wound? What if God was weaving a new thread into her torn heart? The quilt became her anchor, a reminder that broken things could be mended. If you've ever found hope in an unexpected moment, a verse, a memory, a kind word, share it in the comments, because Sarah's discovery is just the beginning, and it might spark hope in someone else. Sarah wanted to believe the Psalm's promise, but doubt clung to her like a shadow. What if my heart is too broken? She thought. What if I've held this pain too long? The guilt was relentless, whispering that she'd failed her children, that the distance was her fault. She looked at the quilt, its patches a map of mending, and wondered if her heart could be repaired. She tried praying, but the words felt hollow, stuck in her throat. She'd spent years building walls around her pain, hiding it behind smiles and small talk. Letting go felt like betraying her love for her children, as if surrendering the hurt meant giving up on them. One night she sat with the quilt in her lap, tracing the stitches, and remembered her grandmother's hands, steady, patient, turning tears into beauty. Could God do that with her heart? The struggle was fierce. Hold on to the pain she knew, or trust in a peace she couldn't see. Sarah felt torn, like a thread caught between two seams. But the psalm echoed in her mind, a faint light in the darkness. What happened next changed everything. Because in that moment of doubt, Sarah took a step towards surrender, not knowing it would lead her to a sacred peace. Sarah's journey to healing wasn't easy. The quilt and the song had planted a seed, but the pain still surged like a tide. She began writing letters to Emily and Michael, letters she never sent. Each word poured out her love, her regrets, her longing for the days when they were close. "I'm sorry I wasn't enough," she wrote, tears staining the paper. But as she wrote, she felt a shift, a whisper of grace. She started attending a women's Bible study at church, hesitant at first, afraid to share her burden. One evening, another mother, Ruth, shared her own story of a strained relationship with her daughter. "I thought I'd lost her forever," Ruth said, "but God showed me that my love was enough. even if it wasn't returned the way I wanted. Sarah's heart stirred. Was it possible her love wasn't wasted? She began praying the psalm each night, clinging to its promise. But the silence in her home still pressed against her, and doubts crept back. What if they never come back, she thought. The quilt, now draped over her rocking chair, became a daily reminder. Broken things could be mended, but it required new thread. If this resonates with your spirit, subscribe now to join our circle of sisters finding peace in the pain, because Sarah's next step might be the key to your own healing. One quiet evening, Sarah sat with the quilt and her Bible, the weight of her heartbreak heavier than ever. She opened to Psalm 34:18 again, and the words broke through her walls. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. She closed her eyes, and for the first time she let herself feel the full depth of her pain. She saw Emily's childhood smile, Michael's laughter, the moments she'd held them close, but she also saw the mistakes, the times she'd been too busy, too tired, too quick to judge. The tears came, not as a trickle but as a flood, washing over years of buried sorrow. In that moment, Sarah realized her heartbreak wasn't a failure. It was a testament to how deeply she loved. Her pain was sacred, a reflection of a mother's boundless heart. She whispered a prayer. Lord, I can't carry this anymore. And in the silence she felt a presence, not the absence of her children, but the closeness of God. The quilt, with its mended tears, seemed to glow under the lamplight, a symbol of what her heart could become. Sarah understood that healing didn't mean erasing the pain. It meant letting God weave it into something new. She wasn't defined by the distance, but by the love she still carried. This truth was her liberation, a sacred thread that began to mend her broken heart. That moment of surrender changed Sarah forever. She began to see her pain not as a burden, but as a sacred wound that God could redeem. She started a ritual. Each morning she'd sit with the quilt, pray Psalm 34:18, and write in a journal not letters to her children, but letters to God. She poured out her fears, her hopes, her love. Slowly, the silence in her home transformed from a weight to a sanctuary. She joined the church choir, her voice trembling at first, but growing stronger with each hymn. She volunteered to mentor young mothers, sharing the wisdom she'd gained through her pain. One day she received a text from Emily, a simple "I miss you, Mom." It wasn't a full reconciliation, but it was a thread of hope. Sarah didn't cling to it. She'd learned that her peace didn't depend on her children's choices. Instead, she thanked God for the moment and kept praying. The quilt became a symbol of her new truth. Her heart, though torn, was being mended with divine grace. She began sewing patches onto it, each one a prayer for her children, for herself, for other mothers, carrying silent sorrows. Her home, once a place of grief, became a haven of peace, filled with the soft glow of morning light and the quiet strength of her faith. Sarah's transformation wasn't about erasing her pain, but about letting God weave it into a tapestry of grace. Sarah's life was no longer defined by silence. Her mornings began with prayer, the quilt draped over her rocking chair like a sacred mantle. The house, once a tomb of memories, now hummed with quiet purpose. She hosted Bible study groups, her kitchen table alive again with laughter and shared stories. She sent care packages to Emily and Michael, not expecting replies, but as acts of love. Her heart, once heavy, felt lighter, not because the pain was gone, but because she'd surrendered it to God. The psalm became her anchor, a reminder that He was close in every moment of sorrow. Sarah's home became a sanctuary, not just for her, but for others. She taught young mothers to pray through their struggles, to see their love as a holy offering. The quilt, now vibrant with new patches, hung on her wall, a testament to her journey from heartbreak to peace. Sarah had found a new rhythm, a life where love flowed freely, unburdened by expectation. Sarah's story is your story, my sister. We all carry silent wounds. Maybe it's a child who's drifted away, a dream that faded, a love that feels unreturned. But what if your pain is not a failure, but a sacred invitation? What if the silence in your home is the very place where God is weaving a new thread of peace? Your heartbreak is a sign of how deeply you've loved, and that love is never wasted. Psalm 34:18 promises that God is close to the brokenhearted, to you in this very moment. Ask yourself, what pain have you been carrying alone? What would happen if you laid it at His feet? Your heart is like Sarah's quilt, torn but capable of becoming something beautiful. Share this message with a sister who needs to know her pain is seen, because this truth could be the light she's been searching for. Leave a comment with a moment when God met you in your sorrow, because your story might heal another heart. If Sarah's journey touched your soul, join our sacred circle. Subscribe to Maya's Pearls, to walk with sisters finding peace in the pain, because together we can mend our hearts with God's grace. Share this video with a mother who needs to lay down her burden, because one word can spark hope. You are not defined by your pain, but by the love you carry, a love that God sees and honors. May His peace, which surpasses understanding, guard your heart. May you feel His presence in the silence, His comfort in the tears, His love in every quiet moment. You are seen, you are loved, you are enough. We'll meet again in the next reflection, weaving new threads of hope. Until then, rest in His grace, my sister.